Hello, everyone. Named Jalisa JJ Muti / Game Reviews, everybody. And right now, I'm going to give you my top 10 wrestlers' death. Now, this is professional wrestling, or the fake wrestling, as we call it. It's WWF, TNA, and all that stuff. But this is to me my own personal list of the most tragic deaths in wrestling, in my opinion. I'm not weighing about the person of an individual person. I just meant how the death affected everybody and affected the people around there. Alright, let's start off with number 10. Number 10 is Rick Rude, or the Ravishing Rick Rude. He died at age 40. He died of a heart attack, and he also, well, they said died of a heart attack, but he was dealing with a lot of medication as well. He was overdosing on that, using it too much. But overall, Rick Rude died at age 40, which was very sad. I remember Bret Hart always said that Ravishing Rick Rude, even though he played a cocky guy in the ring, he was a devoted family man, and he loved his wife and he loved his children. And yeah, it was a sad day in wrestling when Rick Rude died. And I'm only 23, so when I see these videos, and when I see all these wrestlers that die, I always go back to their history. And I know some of them more than others, but I'm not back in the 70s or 60s or in the 80s for that matter. I'm a 90s guy. Okay, let's go with number 9. Number 9 is Mr. Perfect, or Kurt Hennings. He died of 44 drug overdose. His actual son, Curtis Axel, is actually his son, and his son has continued wrestling for his father's name. And Curtis Axel will never be a big thing, but Mr. Perfect will always be remembered as the guy who always did. He was very, as they say, Mr. Perfect, because he believed himself to be a perfect wrestler. In some cases, he did a perfect job, and he died of drug overdose at age 44. So that's a very sad story. He's number 9. Number 8 is Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes died at age 69. And here's the thing. With Dusty Rhodes, his two sons, Goldust and Cody Rhodes, or Stardust, whatever you want to call him, they're both in wrestling, so he left a legacy. But what made American Dream's death so sad was because he was the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He's not like most wrestlers, like, are big and built like Hulk Hogan or Rick Rude or Ultimate Warrior. This guy was chunky. He moved around the ring, but that just proved that any guy, no matter what his size, no matter what ways, he was American Dream in some cases, because he lived out his dream and performed out on stage for everybody. And when Dusty Rhodes died, I was like, oh man, that just sucks. I did not know. I hardly saw any of his matches, but it is a sad thing because his story is inspirational in many cases. Number 7 is Roddy Piper, the most recent one. He died at age 61 in his sleep. He was battling cancer. The thing is, I love Roddy Piper. I didn't grow up with him, but I watch his videos, I watch his promos. He was such a perfect heel on a mic, and it's sad to see him go. His son's in wrestling. He's done a lot of stuff. I saw him in this one where he's like, put on the glasses, and it was just a hilarious scene in the movie. But Roddy Piper, may you rest in peace, because he was struggling, well, like I said, with cancer, but he always left an impression on me that, man, that's one of the best heels of the business. He is, to me, the best heel in the business, at least to this day. Age 61, he died. Kind of young when he died. Alright, number 6, I'm giving to Eddie Guerrero. He died at age 38, overdose. Now, a lot of people are big fans of Eddie Guerrero, especially the Mexican community and the Hispanic community. I'm Puerto Rican and Serbian, but I feel a connection because I was a big fan of SmackDown. I'm still a big fan of SmackDown. I grew up on SmackDown, and Eddie Guerrero was a part of SmackDown. He made it so much interesting. I love his feud with Batista, Rey Mysterio, when he was teamed with Chavo Guerrero, and to Jerry when he was against JBL or Kurt Angle. I just loved Eddie Guerrero's character. Lie, cheat, and steal, how he faked possum. He was just a guy who had passion for the ring. And what makes the story so sad about Eddie Guerrero's death was that if he didn't die, he would continue wrestling to this day. Because he's that type of guy. But drugs got to him and he overdosed on it. It was not suicide, but he just overdosed on drugs. And I'm sorry to see that for Eddie Guerrero. I'm glad his wife, Vicky Guerrero, got on stage. And now we got Excuse Me. For a long time we had that. But overall, Vicky Guerrero's great as a heel. Eddie Guerrero's great wherever he was. But yeah, I was very sad when Eddie Guerrero died, but I was very happy when he became WWE champion. Alright, we're going to the top 5. Now, this top 5 to me, this just sells it for me. This one's always pulled my heartstring. Number 5, I have a tie with Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. They're both in the same industry together. They both were in the same, basically, partners and heels. Well, Randy Savage was heel, Miss Elizabeth was not. But to go through such a thing with their characters and beyond life, Randy Savage died at age 58. I'm not sure what Miss Elizabeth was. I know she got into drugs and she overdosed, I believe. And Randy Savage, he died of a heart attack, I believe. And to see it, well, I believe he had a heart attack behind the wheel and he crashed. But overall, Randy Savage, when he died, it was a sad day in my opinion, because when you saw these two characters at WrestleMania and how they hugged and he lifted her up, I always have that moment because that's an iconic moment of wrestling, and to see, and the fact that they both died pretty young is a sad tale. But overall, they carry the memories throughout them, and I will greatly miss them. Number four is probably the most talked about death, and at least in the ring, at least it's Owen Hart. He died at age 34. Bret, he's related to Bret Hart, and the fact is that Owen Hart died on live, well, not live television, but he died live in front of people, was horrific. I couldn't imagine what the family must have been thinking. I couldn't imagine what Vince McMahon was thinking. This happened on his watch, and it was sad to see Owen Hart go. Maybe it was confirmed that they were gonna make him be WWE champion, which was gonna be amazing for his character, or he was gonna be a champion in some case. But this fact that Owen Hart died in front of people, sorry, guess I'm a throat, but no. Owen Hart, the fact that he died right in front of people and it left an impression on everyone that this stuff is dangerous, it made it a whole new thing. Like, don't try this stuff at home because you could get seriously hurt. And to see Owen Hart get, I didn't see the actual footage, but I saw the paramedics take him out the ring on YouTube videos. But overall, it was just a sad day when Owen Hart died. No one should watch their family members or someone live getting killed for something that they love. And I feel sorry for the Bret Hart's family that during that time, but more likely they're all getting past. Then they're honoring their family member by continue doing wrestling and doing the stuff they love. So Owen Hart's death was number 4. It's very impactful. Number 3 is the Ultimate Warrior. He died at age 54 heart attack. And the fact is that the Ultimate Warrior was gone from WWE for so long. He didn't make an appearance, and he made an appearance on Raw. And he says the Ultimate Warrior lives throughout each and every single one of you, and he dies the next day is unfreaking believable. He died. He died going to his car with his wife, and he just knocked out and he had a heart attack, and it was just her. I feel sorry for the wife. My heart goes out to their family. My heart goes out to all the families who were involved in this top 10 list because they lost someone they loved, and no one should lose someone they love. And yeah, for the Ultimate Warrior, for him to die at age 54, it was sad, and it was just extremely sad that it happened the day he appeared after so long. So yeah, the fact that the Ultimate Warrior is dead just broke my heart in so many cases, because I always remember him shaking the ring coming to Hulk Hogan's rescue in some cases, and how Hogan and him had fought at so many dang pay-per-views and matches, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed their matches. I enjoyed Ultimate Warrior's match. He was entertaining. Granted, he was a steroid guy just like Hulk Hogan and so many others, but yeah, the Ultimate Warrior's death, it left a mark on me. I'm sad to see the Ultimate Warrior go. Number 2, and this is the one I have never seen. I read about it. I found clips of this. The Von Erich family. Number 2 for the Von Erich family. Now, if you don't know who the Von Erich family is, it's a group of his father and his children who are basically, how should I say it kindly? There's no way kindly way, but they have a freaking curse. This is worse than the Bruce Lee family curse, where Bruce Lee and his son Brandley both died in film sets. The Von Erich family, they died because of their job for wrestling. One son accidentally overdosed on drugs. Another son committed suicide and shot himself in the head because he was depressed. A youngster at 23 years old shot himself in the heart because he didn't think he was going to be good enough for his family. And another one, I believe he overdosed as well. 3 of them died by suicide. One of them died at 6 years old. And one of them died by accidental overdose. So basically, 4 out of 6 of the children are dead. Maybe, I think they have 1 daughter and only 1 son alive. Only 1 son has lived past his 50s. That's a damn shame. That Von Erich family, my heart goes out to that family and the future generations, that suicide is not the answer for many cases, in my opinion. But then again, back in those times, they didn't really have the options now these days. Now, these days, we have a lot more options, but back then, they didn't have a lot of options for support groups and all that stuff. But for the Von Erich family it was just a tragic tale. I just damn read about. I could not believe it was that tragic in the family of wrestling. My God, my heart goes out to them. And before I go to my number one, let me give some honorable mentions to Maga, to Test, to Viscera, to so many wrestlers that have died that I have not mentioned on this top 10 list. So please forgive me, fans, if you're all fan of these wrestlers that I did not mention them, but this is my own personal top 10. And my number one person who is dead is Chris Benoit. Age 40, this is the double murder suicide. He got into drugs, steroids, and all that stuff, and during his steroid thing, he got so delusional, he killed his wife and son, and then he killed himself because he woke up and found what he did, and he couldn't live with himself what he did, and he hanged himself. I just could not believe the story. When I heard about this in the news, it was such a tragic thing for me because I was a big fan of Chris Benoit. Like I said, I'm a big fan of SmackDown during that time. I grew up with SmackDown. And Chris Benoit and Edgar were a big part of SmackDown. I remember both of them in a ring at WrestleMania when they had their two separate titles, WWE Championship and World Heavyweight Championship. It was a tragic event that shook me. I didn't want to talk to no one. I didn't talk to my family. My family knew what I was a big fan of Chris Benoit, and it was sad to see him go. And going out in such a tragic way is horrendous. Now, some people say he's evil, he's a monster, and he deserved what he got. Here's the thing: human life is precious. I'm a Christian, and I'm not a Christian that basically rants about other religions and do to say, oh, you shouldn't believe in that. No, I'm an open-minded Christian. I believe you could believe into whatever you believe and all that stuff. But when to judge a human soul, I look at it this way. I believe there is good people who make terrible decisions every single day in life, and sometimes they either go to jail or they pay with it for their lives. And doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they've been going through a lot of traumatic stuff. In certain cases, I've been through traumatic stuff. Not nothing as much as murder or something like that, but I've dealt with depression, even thought of suicide. I even thought of. I'm being honest with myself about that, but I do not judge. I cannot truly judge another person for what they've done, especially Chris Benoit, the wrestler. He who knows what he's been doing, and the autopsy showed his entire brain was like so much brain injury and head injury from all the stunts he did in wrestling. It was so swelled up. He got a fucked up brain. He has another son living, but it's still a shame. And yes, some people say he deserves to go to hell, but to my opinion, and he committed suicide. Yes, I believe those are faults and everything. You shouldn't do that. And do I believe you're going to hell because you do that? No, I do not believe no. Because in the end, in my personal belief as a Christian or my religious belief, that if you ask God's forgiveness, you could find redemption. I do not, in my personal opinion, I do not believe Chris Benoit is in hell, but I cannot really say that. I believe he might be in purgatory, the in between, because in order to ask for forgiveness, you want to be saved. And in some cases, this is not a bad man. A bad man, an evil man, would not have just killed himself after he killed his family. An evil man would have just killed his family and laughed about it and just go to jail smiling about it. There's been plenty of criminals and people who have done that. This was a guy who loved his fans. He loved his friend Eddie Guerrero, who died before him. He loved the company he was working with, and he loved the stuff that he was doing, except the drugs were a part of it, a big problem with him, with the steroids and all, and that's why WWE has a wellness policy, because of mostly Chris Benoit, and they mostly erased him from the history books. And with his family's death was just devastating, everything was devastating, and I cannot judge a person, no matter what they've done, but I can never say an evil person. I can always say, and what separates me from believing Chris Benoit was a good person or an evil person, that he was an evil person, because an evil person would never commit suicide right afterwards. Like I said, he probably would have just smiled and went on their own way. The fact that he woke up and found out what he did, it just tore him apart as a human being. And he killed himself because he couldn't live with what he was done. And in some cases he didn't have a chance to repent, but it's a sad case, and I'm sorry for Chris Benoit's son who's trying to get into wrestling, I heard, but I hope a tragic event like this never ever happens in wrestling again, and to seek help and to seek guidance from other people, and to know that drugs is not the answer. And for people who say that Chris Benoit deal with drugs, I'm going to say this about the WWE. They knew about drugs. They knew about the drugs of Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate War with Jimmy Snuka. They knew everything about that. So if anything, they checked their wrestlers. They're partially responsible, and that happened on their watch. If they didn't want the wrestlers to take constant drugs and all that stuff, it's partly their blame. They're partly, but Chris Benoit did act himself, so he is to blame for that. But again, I do not believe Chris Benoit's in hell. I believe he was a good man that made a terrible, terrible, unregrettable decision. Doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean you're totally beyond forgiveness, in my opinion. I have family members who have done suicides, who have done drugs, and done terrible things to themselves and to even members of my own family. There is still forgiveness in many cases, and I believe in most cases you can forgive the people. In some cases, it all depends on the individual about who they hurt. We as human beings have no right to judge another human being what they have done. We have no right to judge them upon that for what they have done to each other, but we have no, how should I say it in the best way, we don't have the right to judge, and we don't have the right to, I'm not even not sure how to put into words, honestly, because the death of Chris Benoit always brings such stories with me, and when a couple of my friends who are big fans of Chris Benoit now, they reject him because of what he's done. In some cases, I do reject some things that he's done, but I never regret the stuff that he did as a person and for the charity work he's done, for all the ultimate other stuff he's done. I will not blame one person's bad act, one terrible, terrible, unforgettable act, upon all the goods he's done. A good deed does not outweigh the bad, nor the bad a good, in my opinion. So, alright, everyone, that's my top 10 wrestlers' deaths. Sorry for that. I've offended Chris Benoit a little bit much. I know a lot of people hate him right now, and still do. But that's my own personal opinion of the top 10 wrestlers' deaths. So, again, everyone, this is my video. Hopefully, you all like this. Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Please be respectful comment to me. I'll be respectful towards you. I'm a person of high opinions to everybody. As long as you're respectful towards me and treat me as a human being, I'll treat you as a human being. But don't leave stuff like you suck, or you're an idiot, or you're going to hell because you believe this guy didn't go to hell. Please be an open-minded person, and try not to judge upon one act. That's all I'm doing. We cannot judge upon a person upon one act. We judge them upon all their acts. Alright, everyone, to release, I'm signing off, everyone. You have a good day, everybody. Bye.